sure that she did not come out of that car alive. She was just different.
After a week-long trial, the jury delivers its verdict.
Well, the jury came back with not as charged with first degree, but lesser charge of second degree murder. First degree murder is premeditated murder, which means you planned it out. I won't go so far to say as it was a premeditated, planned killing, but there's no doubt in my mind that he knew what he was doing. He made that decision and he did it. He's sentenced to 24 years in prison as a result of the conviction.
I'm so sorry, everyone. This is not fair. That was very unfair. I felt like because he's a police officer that they was lenient and gave him the 24 years. But if it was a regular person off the street, they would have been given life.
My sister always say, I'm never supposed to hate anybody. But I hate him. Even like right now, as I speak on it, it hurts just the same as it did the day they told me.
It's hard now that I'm a mother because I feel like I want to do better. Like, I want to give my son the things that she wasn't able to give me because her life was cut short. I wanted her to see the woman that I became. Like, I wanted her to be with me, to experience me becoming a mother. I just wish she was here. I really, honestly do. I think life would be so much different if she was here. If she was here with us.
The devil used to go to church. Something bad's happened. I don't know what.
Go ahead, serious.
You go, oh no, not in this town. That's just evil. That's just evil.
On February the 18th, 2015, our dispatchers received a call from Bank Street in the town of Morris.
Hey, I just got home and walked in the front door, and I don't know if the house has been broke into or what. The table's been knocked over.
Okay, let's back up just a little bit.
Hi, I'm Michael.
Hi, I'm Cindy.
Hi, Cindy. Glad to meet you. Mind if I sit here?
In 2008, Michael meets Cindy Henderson.
Sure looks delicious, doesn't it?
Michael was real smitten with Cindy when he met her. They talked on the phone for a little bit, and then they decided to go out on their first date.
They had gone to Milo's, and of course I'm just like, that's where you go for your first date. But they both like Milo's, and they just thought that was okay, so we're just like, okay man, whatever.
Like Michael, Cindy is devoted to her church.
In a short period of time, they became close, and you kind of tell that it was going to go further than dating.
You could just see those little glances. I felt like it was true love, that he finally found his true love.
On September 5th, 2009, Michael and Cindy married at Morris's Sardis Baptist Church.
Cindy looked beautiful in her dress. Michael looked very handsome in his suit.
Everybody was happy, and he couldn't be no better. I mean, it was just a real sweet day.
Soon, Michael joined Cindy's church.
Michael is currently a Methodist, and then he got baptized in the Baptist church.
Michael, I baptize you in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Could be a struggle.
Yeah.
The house and the living room's in disarray. The table had been turned over. There were papers strewn everywhere.
There was a Piggly Wiggly bag laying on the sofa, and I noticed there was a Milo's bag to the right, just inside the door, and it appeared like that somebody had set it down as soon as they came in the house.
We found Mike back here.
As I walked down the hallway, I could see the back door was open. They were adding an addition room, and I could see Michael laying just inside this new room on the plywood floor.
He had a very apparent gunshot wound to the back of the head.
It appeared to the officers initially that Michael had been standing facing that wall when he was shot from behind.
Michael never saw this coming.
Inside the home, investigators processed the crime scene.
It was determined that he had a single gunshot wound to the back of his head. There was actually no exit wound, so that would tell investigators that the bullet would have still been lodged inside of his head.
Once I finished going through the house, I had a list of people that I needed to speak with Cindy being the first person I wanted to talk with.
In any homicide case, you always want to look at the people who knew the victim. And his wife, Cindy, was, as far as we knew, the last person to see Michael alive. She was a very important witness.
Has anybody told you that Michael's gone?
He had been shot, but they never did really take it.
I'm so sorry. Cindy was very soft-spoken and physically
Items that she went to purchase at the Piggly Wiggly were there.
Cindy was able to present two receipts, the receipts from the Milos and the receipt from the Piggly Wiggly, which did show the times that she had been at those locations.
Then she got home shortly after 8 p.m.
When she walked in the front door, she noticed there was a table turned over, and it appeared to her that a burglary had taken place.
Cindy explains that the room Michael was found in was an addition they were having built, in hopes of having a baby.
Michael thought that it might be time to start thinking about children, so let's go ahead and plan ahead so that we've got a place for them in the house.
One of the things that the investigators wanted to determine from their interview with Cindy is who else may have had access to the home other than Cindy and Michael.
I really don't know.
There were contractors that were working on the Reese home. So that would have placed them with the ability to have access to the home.
I know the contractor was a good person because I checked his references.
Cindy gives them the name of the contractor so they can follow up.
You ever had a pistol?
I had it. There should have been a 38 sitting on the gun rack in the bedroom.
We didn't see that.
Should have been one sitting on the table.
Talked to her. My parents and I were very concerned of her well-being and what she was going through.
It was probably 2 o'clock in the morning before I finally went home. And we just sat there and prayed. And we prayed and prayed. And we just turned this over to God. We had them more power than us to pull us through this because the pain is unreal.
As dawn breaks, the God-fearing community of Morris, Alabama begins to confront its demons.
The town was shocked to begin with, first off, because it was Michael and so many people knew him. I mean,
everybody really wanted to know what happened. Is somebody on the loose? Is somebody doing things like this in small town Alabama? Or was this something a little bit closer to home?
The morning after the murder, investigators continue interviewing the victim's widow, Cindy.
Did you hear?
And the Morris, Alabama grapevine is buzzing.
He was so young.
There's always going to be those people that know what's going on, especially when you're dealing with a small town like Morris.
Somebody said, well, you know, Cindy had a boyfriend. It didn't take long for, oh, did you hear it's pastor at the church?
Jeff Brown was
A fairy tale, as his sister put it. Loving wife, nice home, future family.
Were you wanting to work it out with Michael? What was your feeling?
I really didn't know. To be honest, I didn't know.
Let me ask you something. And I'm gonna ask you straight here. Did you shoot Michael?
I would not be able to do that. I can't even shoot an animal when it's dying.
And then asked Cindy if Jeff was capable of killing Michael. She said absolutely not, that, you know, he was a preacher and he just wasn't capable of something like that.
This Sergeant Brian Street while we end this interview.
At this point in time during the investigation, Cindy is definitely a suspect. Jeff Brown is definitely a suspect, but I do not have enough evidence for an arrest, so she was free to go.
Closer to the victim.
Everybody knows that. When there's a death in a house, the first one you look at is the spouse that's breathing.
And a woman that is the music director at a church is having an affair with the pastor of the church. It's an element of evil. Those accusations got even worse once the pastor, Jeff Brown, came into the picture as a possible suspect.
Jeff, how you feel about Michael being dead? I don't have words.
That when you live in such a small community,
How long before y'all actually raised the stakes a little bit or admitted that y'all had feelings for each other? Do you remember?
It was probably March of 2014.
When investigators speak to Jeff, he acknowledges an inappropriate relationship.
The affair was enough to break up Jeff's marriage.
Jeff did file for, and they did get a divorce. Are you in love with Cindy?
I am.
Still?
Absolutely.
Jeff claims he was in Aniana, more than 30 miles away from Morris at the time of the shooting.
Did you have a motive for killing?
Absolutely not. I'm a preacher with two kids, right? 2 kids and one on the way.
Preacher with 2 kids, you also had an affair with a married woman, right?
That's, you're absolutely right. Don't hate the sin, don't hate the sin, hate the sin.
I do think you or her, I think you or Cindy did.
But the Reese family has to keep their suspicions in check.
We didn't see Cindy until we went to make the funeral arrangements at the church. And she was number 1 suspect. We knew that. But the problem we was having, she was still classified as Michael's wife, and she could bury him anywhere she wanted to. So we had to play the part of ignorance. We had to look her straight in the eye and say, we don't think you did this.
Miss Michael right today.
She was telling me that she didn't have nothing to do.
In me. It was pretty much in my head that if she did do it, she knew who it was.
Authorities dig into the evidence to uncover the truth.
There's lots of things that